Today's episode is brought to you by Microsoft Dragon Copilot, your AI assistant for clinical workflow. To learn more about how Dragon Copilot can transform the way you work, stick around after the episode or visit aka.ms/knockknockhi. That's aka.ms/knockknockhi.
Hey, Will.
Hey, what's up?
I've been thinking, the U.S. healthcare system, it needs some improvement.
Yeah, there's room for improvement. For
sure.
It's
a confusing, scary place for everybody involved.
Absolutely.
Physicians, families, patients, everybody.
Everybody. And I've experienced it from both sides, right? I'm a physician. I've also been a patient. So I wanted to use my platform to give people practical education, really the only way that I know how, by making jokes. So Dr. Glaucomflecken's really fun and super uplifting guide to American healthcare is out, and it's a free resource that includes all my videos from the 30 Days of Healthcare series, alongside deeper explanations, also reliable facts, emphasis on reliable.
Yes.
All right. Figures, numbers, insights into how each of us can fight for a more humane, better healthcare system. Also, it has jokes.
Did you mention the jokes?
I did. Jokes. Okay. Yes, definitely jokes.
Well, this guide is great for anyone looking to learn more about U.S. healthcare, but especially if you are experiencing it from the clinician side for the first time.
That's right.
We really hope you'll check it out.
Get the free guide sent straight to your inbox by signing up for our mailing list, glaucomflecken.com/healthcare. Enjoy. Hi. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Knock Knock Hi with the Glaucomfleckens. Over here, we have Kristin Flannery, also known as Lady Glaucomflecken.
Yes, and you are Will Flannery, also known as Dr. Glaucomflecken.
Did you think of a different, you settled on Lady.
Uh-huh.
Is there like, did you have a few options, things you were trying to decide between?
Ooh, this was a long time ago, and I never thought it would turn into an actual thing. So it was
like
just
joke,
meant to be a joke.
Lady.
Yes, because I am there.
Yeah.
There is a lady,
right,
of the couple, but also it felt like a title, right? Because I don't have doctor,
like royalty
or something, so I needed a title to go along with Dr. Glaucomflecken.
You didn't want to be Mrs. Glaucomflecken.
I mean, technically, I could be master. But nobody uses that. And it's got some negative connotations that I would want to avoid.
Yeah, Master Glaucomflecken would have been a bad business move,
yes,
I think.
Right. So, settled on Lady. It felt it felt right.
It's good. I'm excited about our guest today.
Me too. I always love hanging out with him.
Kaveh Hoda of the House of Pod fame.
Right.
Great podcast.
Really good podcast.
He was like made to be a podcaster. I feel like at least for me,
in fact, what are you all doing listening to this podcast?
Jammed my way
go listen to
into the podcasting world and just figured it on the fly. He's like, I'm very impressed by his podcast.
Yeah.
And
he was one of the original medical podcasters.
Yeah, there were only a few. He's been doing it for quite a bit longer than we have.
Yeah.
And so he's got a nice little array of different eclectic.
Yes, he knows
guests
everybody
from the
and
music
all sorts
world
of
and the comedian world and everything. And
Yep.
we did talk about butts.
Well, he's a gastroenterologist, so you can't avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't get back. He did correct me. I feel bad. I did start talking about poop again, and he had to remind me that he is not a poop specialist.
That's right.
Very rarely, and there are other doctors that are more poop adjacent.
Right. You know why I think everyone just talks about poop with
GI?
Well, because I think that's what people are afraid of, right? You don't want to go to a doctor and have a poop problem, and you don't want to get a colonoscopy and do all that poop prep.
Have you ever been to the doctor for a poop problem?
No, I haven't. And I would like to keep it that way.
We took our daughter there for a poop problem.
Okay, well, she probably won't appreciate you sharing that with the world.
Oh, and 20 years when she listens to this episode, our kids will never listen to this podcast. Are you kidding me?
No, they won't. That's
podcasting,
true.
well, podcasting will be around in 20 years.
That's a good question.
What's going to be the next thing? Because podcasting
we'll
wasn't
back
around
to radio.
It's just
be AM radio.
It's like a podcast, but it's on the radio.
Yeah, exactly.
What is that? All right. Well, let's just not delay this any longer.
All
let's
right.
let's get it. It's a great conversation, a lot of fun. Here is Dr. Kaveh Hoda. Hey, Kristin.
Yeah.
I've been, grossing you out about these Demodex mites, although I'm not sure why. They look like adorable.
Well, these are cute, but it's the real ones that kind of freak me out a little bit.
Yeah, but I have some new facts to share with you about
great.
Demodex.
All right.
These mites have likely lived with us for millions of years.
Oh.
Yeah. Does that make you feel better?
No.
Like they're passed down through close contact, especially between mothers and babies.
Oh, wow. Such a special gift for our daughters.
They're born, they live, they crawl around, and then they die on your eyelids and in your lash follicles. Their entire life cycle lasts about 2 to 3 weeks, all spent on your eyelids.
Well, thank you for
This isn't helping, is it?
No. How do I get rid of them?
Well, it's fun to gross you out, but we do have all of these. It's really common, but there is a prescription eye drop to help with these now.
Okay.
That probably excites you.
That makes me feel better.
Any way to get rid of them, right?
That's right.
All right.
Sign me up.
Visit Mites Love Lids to learn more about Demodex blepharitis, which is the disease that these little guys cause.
Sure.
Again, that's MITES Love Lids, LOVELIDS.com to learn more about Demodex and Demodex blepharitis and how you can get rid of it. All right, Kaveh, you're here. I think you might be our first.
You say this for every repeat guest.
Oh. I'm trying to make him
tell me. I didn't need to know.
I was trying to make him feel special.
Yeah, but the audience
I
would
was
know.
going to say
They'd
he's
call
our
you
first
out.
repeat gastroenterologist.
Okay, I think that is true. That's true. I think.
I'll take
I
it.
hope.
I was going to say, we friend of the pod here, Kaveh, and we've talked a few times. I've been on your podcast, and you're known to curse, here and there. And
I can.
So you asked before we start recording, you're like, is it okay? I was like, just be yourself, whatever. We can always, if it's something egregious, we'll just never invite you back. It's not a big deal.
Fair.
But
why would you want to invite me back? I mean, there's so many reasons for you to never invite me on in the first place.
But let me tell you, because people always assume like I never curse.
Right.
Which is not true. Like I curse in real life, but
just ask our children.
But I'll tell you the reason why I don't, and I've gotten in the habit of not cursing in my content is because one time I was at a conference and a doc came up to me with his 2 little children and they acted out one of my skits.
Oh boy.
In front of me at this nice dinner. And I was like, oh man, I didn't realize little kids.
Children are watching.
Kids watch my content. So ever since then, I was like, maybe I'll just, censor myself a little bit. But they probably don't listen to podcasts.
I mean, and there's so much worse stuff that they're probably being exposed to.
That is true.
It's true.
I feel like you'd still, no matter what you did, whatever you did would still be probably the least worst thing that they're getting from YouTube.
You're probably right.
Probably.
I got to ask, what is this? So, for those of you who may be watching this on YouTube, what's the disc thing? There's a disc.
Oh, this thing.
A round
in a
thing
case.
in an old looking case. It looks ancient.
Is that
I couldn't
hexagonal?
tell if you could see that from my. So this is called the daft. It's a Persian drum.
Oh.
I don't think the sound will come across, but it's like this.
Oh, it looks like a great big tambourine, but without the
great big tambourine. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you can you hear that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a podcast. We can hear audio fairly well.
Yeah, but sometimes it cuts out at least,
That's good.
Anyway, so that's a daft.
That's cool. And it's got little, are those chains on the back? I can't tell.
Yeah. It's like little rings, little metal
These are
rings.
called frickum-frackums.
Frickum-frackums. All right.
I'm just making that up. I don't know.
I'm going with it.
Glaucomfleckens?
Yes.
Yeah, they're little Glaucomfleckens all around, and they help this little texture for the sound.
Yeah. That's really cool.
What's were you just hoping I would ask about that? Is that why you just set that up in the background?
Displayed it nicely.
I have it always in the back, waiting for somebody to ask, and you're the first person to do it. Well, this is also you're like me, maybe. I don't have a studio space where I do my stuff. So this is a guest room / music room. So my guitars are over here and all my instruments are here. So I do recording stuff in this room as well for music. So all my stuff is here.
That's how you know so many You always have musicians that you're talking to.
Because he's a musician.
But give me the background. Are you in a band?
I wouldn't call myself a musician. I consider myself an entertainer.
Okay.
But I have at times played a musical instrument. So I have been in a band. I've been in a band since college, since like the first year of college.
I have to assume it's some kind of pun related to medicine.
No, because up until recently, I was the only doctor in the band.
Okay, gotcha.
Although the band, so I've been with a bunch of bands over time, but the one that I've been with the longest, the name changed about 10 years ago to the Resurrection Men, which does have a medical connection. Do you know what it is?
All I know of is that I did my intern year at a hospital called Resurrection Medical Center, but I'm sure that's not it.
That's not it, although that's pretty cool that you did. That sounds like a good TV show.
It does.
Resurrection Medical. Yeah.
But so back in the old days, Victorian England, like when they were studying cadavers and stuff, and there's like these guys like working on the bodies, they got the bodies because people would dig bodies up and bring them to do, called Resurrection Men. That was the name of those guys. So, but it has given, people do think our band is like a religious band because of that, which it is not. So I don't recommend going that route for other people. So I play guitar mostly, and we're still playing. We have a gig coming up in June 28th at the Hotel Utah in San Francisco. If you're in the area,
that's awesome. And now, is this a Persian guitar?
This is a very Persian guitar.
Okay.
No, it's American guitar or Western guitar. I'm not sure. I wish I could play the sitar. That'd be rad. But there's a lot of strings on that, and 6 is already too many for me. So,
you're only a gastroenterologist after all.
I'm a simple man.
The finger dexterity is not.
Have you seen what I do for a living? It's very basic stuff. You see?
You jam cameras up, people.
That's exactly what I do.
There's not a lot of dexterity there. I want to ask you, have you seen The Pit?
I have not, but that is something everyone tells me it's really good. People are saying it's really like accurate,
right?
And it does sort of play on not just the medical accuracy, but like the emotional pathos of like working through COVID, etc. So I am very curious why is it good?
I am too. So I've just seen little clips of it. I haven't watched a whole episode of it yet, but I hear the same thing. And I actually saw a post from an emergency doc who was like, ER was the show that made a lot of people like fall in love with emergency medicine and like wanting to maybe even become an emergency physician. The Pit is like the last thing you want to show to like to like a med student.
Too real.
Yeah.
Because it's too real. It's like all the worst possible things that you can encounter in an emergency setting, but it is accurate, right? Which got me thinking. I think people, because the most recent episode apparently showed like a birth,
Wow.
Yeah, like the baby emerging from the vaginal canal. Yeah. And like apparently I saw some still. I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but whatever prosthetics they use, wow.
Yeah.
Like it looked.
Can you imagine if that's your job, to make those prosthetics? You're like, how did I get here?
And so, but it got me thinking, what we haven't seen yet in a medical show is a visceral, realistic evacuation of the bowels.
Yeah. Oh.
Someone taking a dump is what you're saying.
No,
we haven't seen that on TV.
I mean, in no uncertain terms. Yeah.
I feel like there's laws against that.
Yeah.
Think about what happens in the emergency. There's disimpactions that are happening. Like, if you're going to be realistic, you're going to show all the things that happen.
I mean, Katie Couric did have a colonoscopy on TV, which is like about as close as I think it's going to get.
Oh, that must have been a big day in GI.
Do you not remember?
No, now that he's saying I do remember that. But
I want to address what you're doing here. Let me see. Let me tell you what you're doing here, okay?
What am I doing?
What you're doing is like the whole GI doctor, our focus is poop. I want you to understand, okay? I am not a scatologist. I'm not a fecologist. I am a gastroenterologist. I don't study poop, okay? Poop is sometimes something that we have to deal with, correct? Sometimes there are physical ailments or there's problems regarding poop, but I don't study poop. I deal with the GI system. I would say...
Poop is just a hobby for you.
I would say...
just a sidekick.
I would say the typical ER doctor deals with poop way more than I have to deal with.
That's probably fair.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, he's calling.
You-
I feel like that's a soapbox for Kaveh. He really was passionate
I'm
about that.
here to defend my fellow GI brethren and sistren against these malicious attacks on our besmirchments.
Fair enough. Well, wait, I guess we could. I mean, what's the most invasive thing you've done in an emergency department as a gastroenterologist?
Oh, we scope people in the ER not infrequently.
I mean, bring your little portable scope, or
we have like a whole tower, and it's not easy. It's not like we just walk in like an ENT doctor does, and they open up like a case, and they we have to have a big tower with our equipment on it, and it has like a camera on it, at least one, if not two TV screens, and it's a whole setup. So it's not an easy process to do. It takes a little bit of time to get it going. But yeah, in the ER, there's people with big bleeds. Sometimes you can't get them to the ICU or stabilize, and you have to do it there. More commonly, the most common thing I would say that we get called to the ER for is if somebody has something stuck in them, usually from above, usually like someone's got something stuck in their esophagus, and we kind of want to get it going. They don't really need to be admitted most times for that. You can usually get it going and then get through and then deal with follow-up stuff as you need later. But that's probably the most common thing that we actually do in the invasive wise in the ER.
So like esophageal foreign bodies?
Yeah.
So like when our daughter aspirated and then coughed up and then swallowed a piece of her extender when she got her braces off, that would have been you.
I have gotten extenders, and I've gotten actually this is gonna terrify your listeners, because this is only something I've experienced twice, but it's happened in the last 2 years. Someone's going to the dentist, they're getting their work done, and the dental drill, a piece of it falls off and gets swallowed, which I'd never seen before, but now I've seen it now twice. It's another little thing to make you freak out about going to the dentist.
Yeah.
But
button batteries too. That's a thing, right?
Yeah, mostly kids. I don't do that much stuff with kids, but yeah, that's a risk.
How do you grab it? That's in, like what? How? Because the scopes that I've seen, they come to a point at the end.
Is it like one of those games at the arcade, the claw game?
Claw game?
You just pick it
up. That's exactly what it's like.
It drops 1,000 times.
It's actually not that far off. We have like the scope is a long flexible tube for your listeners. And at the end of that long flexible tube, there's a camera and a light on it. But there's also some channels that we can work things through. And so we can put in nets, we can put in grabbers, we can put in snares. We have all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah. It's a fun gig, people. You guys should.
I did a rotation in GI. I did a rotation, and I actually really liked it. And you're right, there wasn't a lot of fecal matter involved. I watched a lot of colonoscopies. It was just the rounding that So I think I had the chief resident was just very much into rounding. I think maybe I just got a bad rounding experience, like as far as length of time.
Right.
Yeah, I would say actually that's probably not the case with most GI doctors.
Yeah.
I think most GI doctors went into this field because they didn't want to do nephrology, and they were like, they want to do procedures, do their stuff, and get going. So for good or bad, I would say most GI doctors, and I do a lot more liver stuff, than most GI docs do, and biliary stuff. So that sometimes does require more rounding. But I think a lot of GI docs, they're like, let me do the case and just put my hands in people. Let me just do that real quick.
Well, this chief resident I worked with also would wear dress pants and a scrub top.
Interesting choice.
Terrible person.
Not okay. Yeah, he's a bad person overall.
Yeah, that's a lot of red flags there.
I didn't know if it was for a long time, I just thought it was a GI thing.
No, it is absolutely not. And now I feel like you could have been a great GI doctor had you had a better experience.
I didn't mind because it's obviously very different from ophthalmology, but we also have like a half clinic.
Yeah.
Or clinical, half surgery, right? So, there's, I don't know though. It's a lot of hospital. Kaveh, hospitals, they smell bad.
They're what happens in them, right?
No, what?
Like people die, people get sick, there's puking, there's vomiting, there's blood. There's lots of blood.
I don't deal with any of that stuff.
You're smart man. But I will say, I mean, I don't know, it has its moments. It's fun.
You could have been a nephrologist? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh.
Although I did come close. I considered dermatology at one point.
Oh, did you?
Which is like very different from my experience. And I'm glad I didn't pick it. No offense to dermatologists. Fantastic stuff they do. but GI was the right choice for me. But there was a moment when I thought about, derm and
skin.
And I every now and then when I'm woken up at like 3 a.m,
You're
I'm
like, what could
probably
life
wouldn't
have
have
been a
happened if this was
dermatologist.
derm. Yeah, probably would not have happened if I was a dermatologist. But
You're certainly beautiful enough to be a dermatologist.
thank you. That is my real concern. My real
Wink.
concern. One of my real concerns
He
was
did
that
give me
like
a
people
wink.
would look
That
at
was
me and be like, "How are you, my dermatologist?" Like I make sense as a gastroenterologist. Like this guy likes to eat, and like
Sure.
I like to eat. I want to help
Yeah,
eating,
yeah.
so let me go to this guy. So dermatology, they'd be like, "This is."
You do kind of. I think it does help to look like your specialty.
Oh, well, how do you?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I don't think you
Now that I
do.
said that, I didn't
You have
really
nice
think this
eyes.
through.
You're very pretty.
Yeah,
eyes.
like,
well,
well,
yeah.
Well, it's funny, guys, because I had an attending as a cornea attending, and he always had just
Yeah, nice
excellent,
corneas.
excellent tear
Beautiful
film. His
corneas.
eyelids, nice long eyelashes, just
Yeah.
amazing. So I don't know. I think it helps. And
Oh.
dermatologists, they all have wonderful, like amazing skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're keeping all
Yeah.
their secrets to themselves.
What specialist would I be
I think
based on these?
I got to
Tread
be
carefully.
very careful with how I answer this question.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how you handle this one.
Certainly, absolutely a pathologist.
Okay.
No,
Thanks a lot.
Maybe radiology.
Okay.
No.
He's putting me in the
I'm
basement.
You
striking
can't
out.
be in the basement. You can't be in the
You could do dermatology. You have a
I'm-
skincare routine.
I do.
That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
You could do that. You could definitely do that. I could see you, and this I'm biased because I've heard you talk so much about, the psychological strain that happens to patients' families,
Yes.
when their loved one's sick. But clearly I think like psychiatry or something in the mental health would also make sense for you. But I'm a little biased because of what I've heard you already kind of
Well, it's
cover.
not too far from what I did study, which is why I speak to that all the time. So you're not wrong.
He put more thought into that than
He
I
did. Yeah.
Who's the better husband?
You just drink your little drink there, okay? You have your little whatever.
What are you drinking?
Whatever Persian apple
Tea.
juice you're. Oh,
It's
okay.
tea.
There you go. All right. So, Kaveh, the match just recently happened. Now, this episode is going to come out in April, so it'll be a few weeks old. But this is match week when we're recording this, and so, do you remember your match?
I do. Yeah, I remember pretty clearly.
How did it? Tell me about it.
I have to be honest with you. I didn't have a great match day.
No.
I didn't like. I didn't get my number one pick, which again, in the long run, I'm very happy with where I went and how things landed for me. But I had real concerns about whether or not I had made the right pick, made the right selection, and whether or not I was making the right choices. So there was a lot of like doubt. I had a lot of concern.
In terms of specialty or just the location, your match list?
A little bit both. I decided I really wanted to work at like a county hospital, something where I got a good vibe off the people. I was feeling very punk rock Johnny Cash at the time. And I was like, I need to be working with the people. I don't want to work in like an academic institution.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, but I also want to do GI. So maybe that wasn't a great idea. So I was a little concerned.
Yeah.
And then of course it's hard when you're like that and you see everyone else like losing their minds with joy, and that can hurt, So I remember that pretty clearly. I remember, and again, if there's no lesson to learn here from someone who might be listening to this and didn't get their top pick, I am super happy with the way things ended up for me, and they ended up working out very well. I'm not even one of these people who's like everything happens for a reason. I don't even believe that, but I do believe that you're going to have great potential no matter where you go if you put in the time, you put in the effort. So I do think that it's a bit stressful. Did you guys not? Was yours stressful?
Mine, I wouldn't say it was that
different.
stressful. I also didn't get my top choice.
Yeah.
I got my second choice, which is Iowa. My first choice was Michigan. And I only ranked that higher because it had a better ultimate frisbee scene. That was the only reason.
Wait. No.
He's not even
Please, you're kidding.
joking.
Please,
I'm not
that's
kidding.
not.
No, that
I'm
is
not
true.
You made your career decisions based around ultimate frisbee.
Of course.
Where did hacky sack play into your decision making?
I know. I'm a stand-up comedian, play ultimate frisbee. What the hell am I doing in medicine, Kaveh? I don't know. No, it's true. I could not. I loved both programs so much, and I just did put that up there because they had better frisbee. So,
Jeez.
and so I was honestly very much fine with ending up at Iowa.
Yeah.
But did you open an envelope?
Yeah, we had a different
did,
match
yeah.
experience because you were ophthalmology.
Well, yeah, that's right. Because ophthalmology, we find out like 2 months early, or it's like January.
yeah.
And
no.
you just open an email at your house.
Right.
Like there's no
no.
pomp and circumstance.
Ours was, there's a big room, all the medical students are there. There's like a talk, there's a speech, and then everyone gets their envelopes, and then you open them up right there in front of everyone, and everyone looks to you, and they're like, "Hey, how are you?" And you're like,
you did one at a time, like each person.
No, everyone opened at the same time.
Okay. Because our class, it's at Dartmouth. Where'd you go to med school?
UC Davis.
Yeah, so I don't know how big your class was. We had like 70 people in our class at Dartmouth. It was a very small class.
Yeah.
So everybody went up one at a time.
Oh, no.
In front of a big...
to the front of the room.
Was this a spelling bee? What the hell?
And we got to choose our own walk-up music, and everybody...
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
What did you pick? What did you get
Kaveh.
tonight?
I recorded myself narrating myself walking up to the front.
It was
like
the stupidest thing.
It's like, here comes Will.
That checks out.
Yes,
He's standing up. He's trying to get through the aisle. He's
Excuse
tripping
me.
over people.
Excuse me.
Fortunately, he's very tall, has long legs. He's walking up to the
I
front.
think at one point there was a doo-doo-doo.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing, and I've never loved you more than
But
hearing that.
It was
that
not.
was for your intern year match.
That was for my because
So
I already
less
knew.
pressure.
I already knew where I was going for ophthalmology. So
Yeah.
the only thing I found out at the same time as everyone else was where I was going for intern year, which I was also very equally excited about because I was doing a transitional year in Chicago, which can barely be called an intern year. It was phenomenal. But so you open your envelope and initially just a little bit of just like, oh, I didn't get exactly what I wanted.
It didn't get exactly what I wanted, which,
What was number one?
It was I think it was UCSF at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were set for you wanted to be California.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in California my whole life, and it's a whole thing. Other places scare me.
God forbid you leave
I
the West Coast. You can't.
If I'm being honest,
fathom.
I'll tell you the truth. Right now, for the first time in my life, I've actually wondered if I should have done that. You know, because I love California. My family's here. I love everything about California. I'm a Californian first, maybe before I would say even American. But like there are times where I'm like, I would have loved to have like lived in New York or some other city. And now it's too late. I mean, now New York is just too much for me right now. I can barely handle it. Like, I don't think I could maybe go for like a week, but like living there seems like so hard. Anywhere where there's snow, I can't do. So those times when I was like young enough to have handled it, I do feel like maybe I should have done it. So yeah, there's a little bit of that. But then again, it is California. So I mean, like, come on.
Poor you.
Well, I want to ask about interviewing and your experience with like all the interviews stuff. But let's take a break first. All right, we're back with Kaveh, and so back when interviews for residency, and you got to do fellowship interviews too. So I'm curious to hear the difference between the two. But now most interviews are virtual, which I guess pros and cons there, right? It's cheaper to do that, but I honestly can't imagine having done in-person interviews. Do you have any fun interview experiences?
Fun? You know, the only ones that I remember distinctly are the ones that weren't great.
Oh, even better. Even better. You don't have to give names. You don't have to give names of programs.
I'll name names of people I remember. There was I'll tell you the first one was a guy who I actually ended up working with. I'll say his name, Steve Rowe. Steve, you know who you are, and you know why. You know why I'm doing this. We'll go into details about it later. But his question was like, "Oh, give me your life story." And that's what he asked, and then I'm like, "All right." I tried to give an abridged version of it, but like he started yawning, and I was like, okay, maybe you didn't want the whole story. So maybe that's a little bit on me too. But like I remember that being like, oh boy.
That's when you're like, well, my APGARs were 9 and 10.
I started with my parents. So that was one. And the other guy, I actually don't remember his name, but it was at USC. And I remember going in, and I remember the guy, first of all, making me wait. Like it was an attending, and he made me like wait outside his office for like 20, 30 minutes while he did something else. He calls me in, and the first question he asks, he looks at my name, and he's like, Kaveh, is that, what are you, Persian? I'm like, oh, yeah. Because he's LA. I'm like, he probably knows. And his first question for me is your dad making you do this?
Oh,
and I was
oh
like,
my goodness.
I was like, well, yeah, but still, jerk.
That's kind of funny.
But like,
that's risky. That's risky though.
It threw it off. No, I have to be honest with you. I was mad. I did not like it.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, don't come at me with your sense of like what I'm all about, because you may know a couple Persian people. You think you can come at me like that? I was like, it wasn't good.
So you emphatically put your Persian drum back in its case and you walked away, right?
I did play it in wearing the traditional garb, played it into. I was trying to be daring.
Right.
I was trying to be different.
You got to be memorable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you probably didn't rank that program very highly.
I didn't rank it at all. Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, that's true. I didn't. There were a couple I didn't rank too.
Yeah.
But,
no, that made me mad. I was done with that place. I was maybe a little too hardcore in my youth.
Yeah.
Punk rock, Gen X, all the way, kind of.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cusper.
Okay. Boomer and Gen X? No.
Well, I mean,
You're a cusper.
I have to decide. I could maybe fall into like a geriatric millennial or like a juvenile Gen X. So I think juvenile Gen X sounds better to me.
You could do it when it's convenient for you, when it suits your...
When you need to pull either card.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I would do, for sure. I'm not old enough.
I'm definitely an elder millennial, but I feel like I don't really identify much with the X.
You're not close enough. Neither of us are close enough to X.
Yeah.
That's okay. I don't really want to be a part of Gen X.
Much. Yeah.
One of my more memorable experiences, I don't remember a whole lot from. I remember my Iowa interview very well because I remember just clicking with them, like absolutely just cracking jokes. Is great.
Well, were you meeting with Tom Oetting?
Yeah. It was like
who is also
we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
There. Sometimes you just know. You go to a place, you're like, oh man, this is. Yeah, I could start.
We had that guy he was his program director. We had him on the podcast at one point, and the two of them just giggled the whole time. Like that was adorable. Their dynamic.
No words, just giggling.
Yeah.
Just constant.
I would watch.
Not a very highly rated episode.
I'd repeat it.
I will say,
run it again.
I went to Stanford for ophthalmology residency interview, and they got us drunk.
Wow.
Like. Not that they were trying to, but it was one of those.
Not at the interview, like the night of.
No, the night.
That would be rad if they did it during the interview.
This was the night before the interview, and we were at a restaurant. It was like a / wine bar, and it was one of those things where they kept refilling our glasses, right? And I was, as soon as I got up to leave, I was like, "Whoa! There's no way I can drive this rental car back to wherever the hell I'm staying," and so I had to just sit in the parking garage for like 2 hours before I was.
This is like pre-Uber and
exactly. We had to get rental cars everywhere, right?
God, how many medical students do they cause to crash?
That was like thinking back on it, I was like, man, that was really not great.
That is pretty wild.
Was it a test and you failed?
If it was, I mean, I didn't. I was not. They were like middle of the pack for me, so I didn't really enjoy it.
Why not? Why would you not say that? I've spent some time at Stanford. I know it well, so I feel like I may have some understanding of why you didn't choose. But why not? Because I think most people would hear the name and they'd be like, wow.
Yeah, and I was really excited to go there. I think it was, and sometimes this is all it takes. It's like one little interaction that makes you like really question whether or not you want to go there. It was one of the residents who had 5 kids and was living in like a 1,200 square foot apartment because that's all I could afford.
Yeah.
In Palo Alto.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, all right, that tells me a little bit about what I can expect in terms of, not that we had 5 kids, but we had one. And so it was, I didn't.
No,
I was not enamored enough by the area to be like, I want to be barely living in like a studio apartment.
Right. Yeah. You came in with a very different mindset than a lot of us probably would, because, you were already you had a family, you were building and growing a family. Your priorities change.
Well, and a cancer run as well. So that was
and they were really
does things to your
and they were
priorities.
notably at Stanford very mean to cancer patients.
No, I just
there.
mean that changes
yell
your
at them.
priorities. It kind of changes the way you look at life. But you
That's
can
true.
be a jerk if you want. That's fine.
What about fellowship interviews? How
Fellowship
was
was
that?
better. Fellowship was a lot better because at that point you're sort of like you have maybe published a couple papers you can talk about. You have something you can do. It's a little bit more mellow in general. You feel like you have something to offer the world a little bit. I have to say the hardest part of the whole thing is, getting into medical school. The second hardest part is internship, and then it gets a little easier every step along the way because you're so vulnerable, like in those early stages. And then as you get a little bit further down, you have a little bit more confidence. I was a little bit nervous because I was coming from an academic powerhouse. It's a great place, Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. I love the place, and I love the mission of the people that work there. The doctors are some of the best I've ever worked with. I was able to do research there and at Stanford, and I was able to do things around the area, and it was an amazing time, an amazing place. But it wasn't like known for putting out people in difficult fellowships. And GI is especially them. No, I still say probably even more so now. Actually, is a challenging fellowship to get a spot in, and to get one in California, where I wanted to be, that was difficult to do. So I was a little bit nervous because of that. But in general, your confidence is up a little bit more. You're already a doctor, at least you have that, and you can do something from there. So it was easier in general than the medical school and internship.
Yeah. Did they wine and dine you? Because it's probably a smaller group, right? It was just like, I imagine when they interview you, it's just
there was a couple places that met up, but I dreaded those things. I dreaded those.
You didn't like the schmoozing?
Oh my God, having to go and schmooze with people and drink, and then not know if you're drinking too little or too much, and not knowing what to say. You're being tested the whole time. That like people are coming at you like chill and like, hey, I'm a cool, hey, fellow kids. And they're like, they want to be like, but disarm you. But that they're going to go back later and be like, so that was a cool guy, or that was a problem. So like, it's just not very natural and comfortable. So I don't love those experiences.
They went back, they're like, well, he's got the body of a gastroenterologist, but
he smells like one.
He's got the face of a dermatologist. So I'm not totally sure if he's really in it for the right reasons.
The right reasons. There's so many wrong reasons to go into GI.
So I guess they probably don't do that stuff anymore, though, if all the interviews are virtual.
I mean, not all of them, but honestly, I think it's probably for residency, because residency is just going to suck. Like,
it's going to be difficult.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be very challenging, and in the end, like, you need the information of like what it's like, ask the logistics about the residency, the experience, the numbers, how much of this you're going to do and that. But like where you're at, like going to see it, there's some utility in that for sure. But I think for residency, you can probably get by and get a good sense of the people, like virtually. I'm just thinking pros and cons, right? Like the amount of money that we spent on interviews.
We had to take loans out.
We just take extra loans out, which we're still paying back, right? And so I see how it's going to be hard to get away from virtual, because it does make it just more accessible.
I mean, I don't know.
From
Maybe
like
this
an equity
adds to the
standpoint,
whole cost of it overall, but like it seems like you could do virtual as like a first round, and then
I think a lot of programs do that.
Do they?
Yeah.
They have like
that would
second
make
look.
sense.
They have second look.
Yeah.
Things.
I agree. I think the concept of the virtual interview is great because it allows students more options.
Right.
And I think that's wonderful. But I do think no matter, you're right, you're going to be in the hospital a lot of that time. But where you are, I think, is kind of important. I think you should be in some place that you're, going to be able to enjoy your time outside of work, because I really highly recommend you do in residency. You find ways to get out of the hospital and do things on your own. And it's not going to be easy and you're going to be tired, but it's also something you kind of have to learn to do.
Like ultimate frisbee.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Playing in a band with a Persian band.
Let's start a podcast about ultimate frisbee. I think that's a great idea. That's what this should become. So I would say, even if you don't, even if not for the interview, I do think you should check out the place if you've never been there before. You may have a chance to fall in love with a new city. I think it's worth checking out.
Well, that was the case for us. Like, I cried when he said we were moving to Iowa because I'd never been. All I had was, my mental image of it. And then it turned out to be one of our favorite places that we've ever lived because it was like the particular city that we were in was really cool. So you just never know.
And the cornfields do look nice.
Especially when the setting sun hits them just right.
Exactly. But I think the second look thing is like a good way to do it, get a first pass, do the interview.
So you don't waste your money going somewhere that turns out you just hate the program or whatever.
Right. I don't know. I'm not sure how it's going to change in the future, but certainly the best interviews were like when you're interviewing for jobs. So Kaiser treated you well?
Yeah, they most places will, they know what they're looking for, they know what they want, and that's pretty nice. You get to actually sort of like get to talk to people on a real level. And again, at every step you go up further in this chain, you become a little more confident, you become a little bit more, self-assured. And that, I think, reads well in interviews too. So interviews become a little bit easier, I think, overall. And the thing that is 100% true, sounds like a cliche, but is absolutely something I would want, young people to remember, is that you are interviewing them as well.
Right.
And my number one tip do we do this? Make us like an interview like tip?
Of course.
Thing?
Yeah.
Okay. This is my tip for you guys out there interviewing. If you're waiting to the very end to ask your question, I think you're doing it wrong. They're going to ask you at the end, do you have any questions? And generally that's like, no one's really paying attention. The interview is pretty much over at that point, and everyone's tired at that point in the conversation. I ask questions along the way. Like, if you get asked the question, answer it. But then if you have a moment, be like, why did you decide that? Or what was it? Do you feel that's true here? Ask them questions too. Get your interviewer engaged. Keep them engaged in the conversation. And it shows that you're listening. It shows that you care. I think that's a better way of doing it than waiting till the very end to ask your question.
That's such a good...
Yeah, I agree.
That's such a good tip, because then it makes it actually feel more like a real human conversation.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's another thing. It's not just like question, answer, question. It's just like...
And it gives them insight into how you are thinking about this job, like how you are approaching it. What kinds of things do you care enough to ask a question about?
Do you work with fellows or residents or anything?
I did. I don't anymore, not with my current gig, but I was teaching medical students before and fellows, and I loved it. I do love teaching. I think that is great. That's a great part of being a doctor. That's one of the best parts of being a doctor, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't know. It's
you teach in a different way.
Yeah. It's not in the practice we're in, private practice ophthalmology. It's so fast paced. It'd be actually hard to be able to take the time that you need to really do like significant teaching. But Kristin did recently suggest that I do some shadowing.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Of whom?
For comedy related
content,
purposes.
Kaveh.
Get some ideas.
Come visit me.
Yeah.
It'd be so much fun.
Can I shadow you? Can I?
You can stay in the studio guest room
and play the Persian drum.
Can record some pods together. I can watch you do some sigmoid and
you can't even say it.
The colonoscopy, sigmoidoscopy.
See, this is why he needs the shadowing.
It's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing.
I would love to see you get to that IC valve. And just really just blast through that thing, and then do that thing where you turn the scope around. You can look at where the scope's coming from.
Retroflexion. You got it.
Sure, whatever. Yeah. I would love to see
Come with me for an endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography.
That sounds
That's
fun.
what I want you to come and watch me do and hang out with me to do. That's what I want you to see.
All right.
That's the fun stuff.
If I start doing some shadowing.
I'd stand by. It's a good idea.
Actually, it really is not a bad idea. I mean, that could be like...
good content.
Yeah, that's some good content right there. The only problem is if you do that, every doctor you're working with is going to really try to be like you know, like they're going to try and ham it up for you, and like they're all going to be trying out material on you, and they're going to be like, you can make a character that does this, and then that's going to be
I think you're overestimating how funny doctors are.
I don't know if I'm overestimating the humor level.
So what you're saying is I need to wear some kind of costume.
Yeah, you might have to go incognito.
Disguise, something.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to disguise yourself.
He's
a 6'4", curly-headed, lanky white guy. Like,
yeah.
Well,
no, not that many white people in medicine. You're right.
You're right. Yeah. No,
not that many.
Not that many.
All
no
right,
white dudes, especially.
Let's take one more break, and then I've got a little activity for us. All right, Kaveh. So we're gonna have you perform a virtual colonoscopy on one. No, we're not gonna do that.
You know, there have been like attempts to do that, like games that people try to do, training games and that sort of thing. You have to have like a special module, but like, I mean, the
like
job eventually,
you're putting in...
eventually, that's literally what it is, like a fake butt, and it's like connected to a thing. It's terrible. It never worked well, but the technology will be there to do them remotely. I mean, that's going to happen eventually. You know,
how's that?
I mean, you'll have to have like nurses in the room and like professionals in the room, and I'm talking many years down the road, like probably when I'm done or retired. But like you'll need to have someone there to help guide the scope. Maybe from the outside, you'll put pressure on the abdomen, turn the patient when you need to. But there'll be like a machine that you could like whirl up to someone in like rural like East West Jesus, Texas, and there's no like GI doctor around. And then you say insert the scope, and then the nurse puts it in, and it'll somehow move forward.
It's like an automatic. It's like the garden hose, like the crank
that
for
advances.
The garden hose.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, or something like that. Like for God's sake, we have like it is a bit archaic. Like it's work. We have great equipment. The screens get better every year. The technology gets better all the time, and we're doing fine with what we have. But I mean, I would like to see us move forward in the field.
A robot could do the insertions and the pushing on the abdomen or whatever else you just said? Like, can't that be a robotic arm that you're controlling?
I mean, robots are taking over a lot of different
we'll just make an AI agent to do colonoscopy.
And then from the gastroenterologist side of things, it's like knowing what you're looking at and knowing what you're. I mean, obviously the maneuvers are a big part of that too. So I don't want to say that a robot could do exactly what Kaveh does.
No, but if he's controlling, he's controlling the robot.
Monkey.
Did you miss that part?
Oh, Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, it's good.
Something to think about.
We'll see.
Something to think about.
Business idea of the day.
There you go.
I mean, people have been talking about like people are currently talking about robotic cataract surgery. And my question is like, cataract surgery takes 6 minutes to do.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, you're gonna save
How much
yourself
more
6
efficient
minutes.
do we need to be?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think reimbursements continue to go down? It's because we can do cataract surgery in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So here's what we're going to do. I thought you could help me out with this because I was thinking, Kaveh, that UnitedHealthcare, one of our
I've heard of them.
Dear friends.
Our dear friends.
Sponsored by.
Yeah, right. You know, the amount of shit I'd get in if I was suddenly unveiled a UnitedHealthcare sponsorship.
That would be pretty amazing. That would be a great turn. Wow.
That's how I end my career.
Yeah, that's how you cancel yourself.
That's how I get out. That's my exit strategy. All right. So I think they need our help, Kaveh.
Yeah.
Because they're doing this vertical integration thing. You know, so just for the listener knows, you know, UnitedHealthcare at this point, or United Health Group, which is the parent company, they own hospitals, pharmacies, the pharmacy benefit managers. They own physicians. They're the largest employer of physicians in the U.S. So, and obviously insurance companies. So every step of the ladder, they're just taking over. They're taking over. So they can regulate everything, set prices, all the terrible things that's happening. Okay. But Kaveh, I think they can go further.
Yeah.
I think there's more meat on that bone. Okay. Don't you think?
Yeah.
So I want to throw some things at you here on other ways that UnitedHealthcare could be more vertically integrated than they are now.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to do something we've already talked about. I think UnitedHealthcare should buy the match.
shouldn't laugh because that's actually totally feasible for this to be sponsored. The match sponsored by.
Yeah.
Not even just that. Think about how far match insurance.
Oh my God. It would be funny if it weren't possible.
Everyone would buy it, and they would think how much money you would spend. You would spend so much money.
My God. Like, hey, if you don't match, we'll we'll give you we'll pay out a certain amount of money until next year. But then obviously they find a way to kind of cut back on it and
oh no, you'll owe them for the rest of your life. I mean, you will be paying off that loan.
Maybe while you're receiving those benefits, you have to work for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Kind of indentured servitude.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. You buy into it, and then you're theirs. Oh, I like where this is going. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, see what I'm saying here? We're vertically integrated. We're getting everything. Get them into UnitedHealthcare's ecosystem early. All right, so that they know that they get brainwashed early enough. I think it's I don't know why they haven't done this yet.
No, get them while they're young.
Exactly. All right, here's the next thing. The NBME, the National Board of Medical Examiners.
Yeah.
Let's get
like if you don't pass, then you have insurance. If you don't pass.
Yeah, you could do that. You could also just because the NBME makes the step exams. All right. So we instead of exam or teaching them and testing them on medical knowledge, it's medical knowledge through the lens of UnitedHealthcare.
Why don't we just make it a medical school?
See, now you're thinking.
Now you're thinking, Kaveh. See, this is the way they work. This is the way UnitedHealthcare works. All right. Yep. Now they own medical schools. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
All right. Just create your own textbooks. Just really just get your teeth in there early and don't
learn how to make those important medical decisions about why nobody should get covered. I think there's something very interesting there.
See?
I think it should be its own specialty.
Oh.
Yeah. Like you like go to I'm assuming there's like these are all mostly doctors who have somehow
they're called medical directors.
Medical directors.
So you could do a medical directorship, medical director residency, or fellowship, or both, or you could just keep adding different types. You could do a fellowship and peer-to-peer reviews.
I think what you need though is you need the lowest scores of your class to be considered for this opportunity.
Absolutely, because you have to be. They have to get those doctors that are willing to do a little stuff around the edges.
Fudging.
They don't have the highest scruples.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
there should be separate. I mean, and you know what they say: the person that graduates bottom of their medical school is still called doctor. But there could be like a personality test.
Oh, that's an even better,
like an ethics test,
right?
And then you're going to see the outliers on either end, and you mark them. The ones with the highest ethical standards, you mark them as problems. It's good to know where they're going to be. It's good to know what they're up to. And then the other ones, those are the guys that maybe we take out for dinner.
That's right.
Those are the Dr. Oz's of the world.
Cheesecake Factory for those guys.
Cheesecake Factory.
I don't mean to be giving Cheesecake Factory any strays here. I think that's perfectly fine.
No problem there. All right, here's the last one. I think they should buy McKesson. All right, so McKesson is a company. They do medical supplies.
Okay.
All right. But what they also make are automated pharmacy delivery machines. There's something called, I don't think McKesson makes this. I think they call it the McKesson, but there's also something called a Pyxis machine.
Is this like a vending machine that serves drugs?
Serves the drugs.
Right.
Okay.
So they have to put their fingerprint on it, put in their information, they get the drugs. It keeps it all sort of hopefully on the level.
Here's why they should buy this. Because you could do point of care prior authorizations.
Oh my God, does this patient deserve any more painkillers for their surgery that they're experiencing currently?
Yes. Get AI involved. And so the nurse, they put their fingerprint on the thing, and it's like all of a sudden you get asked a question that either the nurse or someone on the care team has to answer, and it's all AI. And so
I gotta say, this last one is going to happen. This is not even a joke. This last one, it's like they've talked about this. This last one is like the low hanging fruit for them. This is
too smart. It's too good of an idea.
You have a dark gift, Will. I think that they would do this. Honestly, I'm not even kidding.
Let's have to edit this one out.
Subject. Let's come back to the subject. No. You're not giving them ideas. Don't worry. They're
already working on it.
It's already into their mind. Someone's talked about this. There's meetings about this already. Trust me. There's like this meeting board that's happening right now, where they're like, okay, here's the money we're going to make. Here's the hit we're going to take. In terms of public image. What's the point in which we say it's worth it? And there's going to be a lot of people, like even in the post Luigi world, there are going to be people on that board that are like, it's worth it. Do it.
Yeah. That's a promotion worthy idea right there for somebody. Point of care prior authorizations.
I think you can go even bigger than medical school and MBME.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and now's the prime time to do it. Medical research. Well, they got to own all the medical research.
It's probably going to be the only way we get medical research.
Exactly.
In the future.
Because it's probably another one that's already on the table.
It's already because they're already trying to privatize everything.
Yeah, because now everything's losing its funding. They're going to need some more funding from somewhere.
Sponsored by, or that UnitedHealthcare is the NIH.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
This is chilling words, but I mean, this is not far off. I mean, the whole point of what this is okay. And I hate to be political here, but
it's okay.
This is a little bit of a Republican strategy. You take some existing structure that's public, some public entity, something for the public good. You defund it to the point, or you make it so hard to do what they need to do. You take away, you put so many blocks in the way to the point where it no longer works well. And then you can say, this stinks. Let's give it over to private equity. Let's give it over to
Medicaid. Medicaid's a perfect example.
That's how this is going to work. And this would be the perfect example of doing that. And why not? Why not them? Why not UnitedHealthcare?
Hey.
Who's also going to be McDonald's? It's probably them.
Maybe it'll be a joint venture.
National Institute of UnitedHealthcare.
That's right.
The NIUH, whatever.
They already have the title. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll stop giving them more ideas for now. So I think we'll stop there. Kaveh, any last words? You got anything going on?
Again, June 28th. If you're in San Francisco, come watch my band, The Resurrection Men, play music. It'll be an unusually fun and sweaty show. I think you'll enjoy it.
You'll be sweaty, or they will be sweaty?
Who's going to be sweaty?
Maybe everyone.
A little bit of everyone. And then, more importantly, listen to the podcast, The House of Pod, that I am on and that I do. And it's a fun little look at the world of medicine. It's very similar to this, just not as good. And if you like this and you're like, I need more of this, but I can't have enough of this, then I'm like your Kirkland brand version of the Glaucomfleckens, and I will have an episode waiting for you. So come check us out, and I think you'll probably appreciate it.
You have the most varied and interesting guests.
Yes.
You've been around the block a time or two. And
you're much smarter than us when you talk about it.
You know people.
Yeah. And, oh my God,
no. You know everybody that owns a Persian drum in the near vicinity of where you're at.
15 people. Yeah. I do know. Actually, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Not a lot of Persians in San Francisco. I mean, we have a lot of everything, but not enough Persians is what I will say in San Francisco. Okay. So if you're Persian, come to San Francisco.
There you go.
Check it out.
But thank you guys so much for having me. This is super fun. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. We'll see you. Yeah, Kaveh really makes me want to be a gastroenterologist.
Does he?
Oh, that's all the scoping and honestly, colonoscopies, they seem kind of fun.
Do they?
It's video game like.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you gotta put something in someone's butt.
Well, you probably don't do that part. I bet there's
like a
tech or.
Oh, well, I mean, they do have like a helper person,
right?
But it is the one.
No, I know that's what happens, but the GI doctor probably is not the one to do the inserting, don't you think? Because they're going to be back at the video game console.
No, usually it's like they have the monitor and the camera is at the end of the scope. Okay. So they just
they got to drive the scope.
They're driving the scope. They're threading it through.
Okay.
And all the way up in there, all up in those guts.
Do they do anything? I should have asked while he was on. Do they do anything without a scope? Or is it entirely scope based?
No, because they're also, like he mentioned, liver.
Yeah.
Like, so there's other organs they're involved with.
But they don't scope into there because there's no tube into there,
Don't
right?
scope the liver.
Yeah, don't want to do that.
Probably a bad idea. Scope the liver. All right, let us know what you guys. Let us know what you guys thought of the episode, and have any other guest suggestions or topics you want us to cover. You can hit us up, email us knockknockhi@human-content.com. We're on all the social media platforms. Hang out with us in the Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok @Human Content Pods. Thanks to all of the wonderful listeners leaving feedback and reviews. If you subscribe and comment on your favorite podcasting app, or on YouTube, by the way, @Glaucomfleckens. That's our YouTube channel. We might give you a shout out, like @ElizabethJohnson4916 on YouTube said, in regards to your brain being tricked into seeing things like the dress color. I talked about the dress. Remember the trend in the early 90s where they had those oops with images that if you stared a certain way, you'd see an image in 3D. Oh,
I know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
The poster.
Magic Eye.
Magic Eye,
That's
yes.
what, Magic Eye.
I was going to say Crazy Eye.
Different
I never
diagnosis
could
altogether.
see those things. Could you?
Kind of.
I never
don't
could.
know.
Didn't ever see a single one.
He says, how come some saw the image and some couldn't? All right. I'll do that for an upcoming episode.
You know the answer?
Well, it has to do with how much stereopsis you have. Like how much your ability to use...
Separate.
Yeah, to use both eyes and see...
Independently of each other.
Images independently. All right. Full video episodes are every week on our YouTube channel at Glaucomfleckens. We also have a Patreon. Lots of cool perks, bonus episodes where we react to stuff. We got to get the pit. We got to do the pit.
Yeah, well, we've done one. We need some more.
We got more. We did the baby birthing episode of the pit.
Yeah, that's what we should do.
Hang out with other members of the Knock Knock Hi community. We're there. Early ad-free episode access, interactive Q&A live stream events, much more. Patreon.com/Glaucomflecken or go to Glaucomflecken.com to find out more. Speaking of Patreon community perks, shout out to all the Jonathans. Patrick, Lucia C., Sharon S., Edward K., Stephen G., Marion W., Mr. Grandetti, Caitlin C., Brianna L., Mary H., K.L., Keith G., Jeremiah H., Parker, Muhammad L., David H. times 2, Kaylee A. I'm partial to the second David H.
Yeah, I know. You've said that before.
Yeah.
You're going to make the first David H. feel bad. You know what? David H. number 1, I'm here for you.
Okay. All right. Then
you each get one of us.
You'll get her in the divorce.
Yeah.
Jeremiah H. Parker. Oh, I already said that. Kaylee A., Gabe, Gary M., Eric B., Marlene S., Scott M., Kelsey M., Joseph S., Dr. Hoover, Sean M., Hawkeye MD, Bubbly Salt, and Shawnee D. Patreon roulette, random shout out to someone in the emergency medicine tier. Peter S., thank you for being a patron. And thank you all for listening. We're your hosts, Will and Kristin Flannery, also known as the Glaucomfleckens. Thanks to Dr. Kaveh Hoda. And our executive producers are Will Flannery, Kristin Flannery, Aaron Corney, Rod Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Editor and engineer Jason Portiza. Our music is by Emmy Award winner Omer Benzvi. To learn about our Knock Knock Hi's program disclaimer, ethics policies, submission verification, and licensing terms, and those pesky little HIPAA release terms, go to Glaucomflecken.com or reach out to us at knockknocki@human-content.com with questions, concerns, or any fun medical puns you might have. Knock Knock Hi is a Human Content production.
Knock, knock, goodbye.
Hey, Kristin.
What?
You want an assistant?
I would love an assistant.
I bet you would.
I don't want just one, though. I want many.
Many assistants?
Yes, I've got a lot of work.
Well, I can give you something that does the work of many assistants.
Okay.
Have you heard of Microsoft Dragon Copilot?
Oh, I have heard of this.
Yeah, this is an AI assistant for clinical workflow.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It transforms the way clinicians work. It's like a little Jonathan.
Yeah.
Doing lots of things for you. One of those things is helping you get information faster.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
This is one of the things I love most about it. Like, you just ask and you can get answers on a wide variety of clinical topics with citations. Sometimes, like, we have to, like, do research to, like, try to jog our memory about certain things. There's a lot to think about in medicine.
Right, and new stuff coming out all the time.
Well, Microsoft Dragon Copilot can just make that process faster and give you citations that lead you. You can look up the latest evidence about things, guidelines. It just makes that whole process seamless.
I like it.
To learn more about Microsoft Dragon Copilot, visit aka.ms/knockknockhi. Again, that's aka.ms/knockknockhi. ms/knock-knock-hi. Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Hope you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.